Hello beautiful ones, welcome to your practice. So today's practice is going to be really nice and specific. It's for those of us that are really looking to just unwind tension, release tension, unbind tightness that you may be experiencing or may have built up in the hip flexors, so in the front of our hip and the quadriceps. So maybe you've been spending a lot of time working recently, sitting at a desk or sitting in public transport, driving a car, or maybe it's something to do with some of the activities that you've been enjoying recently. Maybe you are a really keen runner, and so this part of the body just might be quite tight. So we're just looking to let go a little bit of that today. I hope you enjoy, and if you do enjoy, then please feel free to subscribe or like or share with someone else who you might feel also would benefit from this practice. If you have something you can use as a strap, then please have that nearby, a strap, a scarf, a towel, whatever. And you might also need a block. Okay, the block's not so important, but if you have a yoga block, then have that nearby. And we're going to start now straight away. So let's start seated. You can put your strap off to one side. This might be where you use your block. So we'll either sit kneeling in Vajrasana, sitting back on the heels, but if that's too much for your knees, it might be nice to take a block and place it between your inner ankles and sit back on the block, just to take a little bit of the pressure off the knees here. From here, we'll take our left foot out in front of us, sole of the foot on the mat. So we're going to do one leg at a time, and for most of us, this is pretty accessible. Okay. So whether you're sitting on the block or just sitting on your right heel, either of those options are fine. From here, we'll step our hands back behind us. And bringing the attention now to our right foot, our right shin, we'll just gently start to press the right foot and the right shin down into the mat. And start to lift the hips gently up. The right knee is going to stay on the floor as best you can. And as you lift the hips gently away from the mat, firm the buttocks and lengthen your tail towards the top of your mat, towards the direction that you are facing. We'll just be here one more breath, so it's not a long hold today. And then we'll gently lower the hips back down to the heel or the block, and let's just go ahead and switch sides. So we'll bring the left leg into Vajrasana. You might need to adjust your block a little. Right foot forward. And here we go again, stepping the hands back, pressing the left foot and the left shin down, and lifting the hips gently up. And just noticing the sensations, what sensations you feel here in the front of your left hip and your left thigh. Scooping or lengthening your tail forward between your legs. Last breath. And then we can gently release. And let's gently come out of that now. You can place your block off to one side and we'll come onto all fours, hands and knees, just briefly. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll start to move the spine through cat and cow. So arching and rounding the spine. Just a few breaths here. This is not really specific to hip flexor and quadricep release. One of the quadriceps is actually a hip flexor, but in a moment, the next time you come into your cat pose, just stay here. So you're going to stay rounding the spine, releasing the head and the neck down. This gentle flexion of the spine, and just see if you can feel now what the pelvis is doing here. There's this posterior tilt of the pelvis. And if you were actually a cat and were to have a tail, the tail might be just scooping down or hanging down towards the floor between your legs. And we want to remember this position of the pelvis because we're going to return to it in a moment. And on your next in-breath, let's go the other way. Inhale, lift the sitting bones, drop the belly towards the mat, draw the chest forward through the shoulders. And on the exhale, let's tuck the toes under and lift the hips up into a down dog. So we won't spend too much time here in downward dog today. We'll move on. So let's raise our right leg. And as we raise the right leg, let's allow the right hip to roll up over the left hip, turning the front of your pelvis to the right too. And then bend the knee. And use the muscles in the back of your right thigh, your hamstrings, to pull your right heel as close as it will go towards the back of your right hip, your right buttock. Take an in-breath. And on the out-breath, we'll step our right foot forward between the hands and come up together in a crescent lunge, a high lunge, hands to the hips. Lunges are a lovely way to open and release through the front of the hip and the thigh of the back leg. So that's what we're doing here. And today we're going to focus just a little more on the back leg. So bend the back knee a little bit. That's going to give us space now to focus on the pelvis and the positioning of the pelvis. So coming back to that tucking or posterior tilt of the pelvis that you experienced in cat pose. Imagine you're in cat pose and you want to curl or scoop your tail back or down underneath you, down towards the mat between your legs. So there's this rolling back of the pelvis, a lengthening of the top rim of your pelvis, of the back of your pelvis rather, towards the floor. And then notice how that changes sensation for you in the front of your left hip and thigh. Let's stay here. One more breath. And then on our exhale, we'll release, hands to the mat. Okay, let's bring our right hand inside our right foot and wiggle our right foot out wide to the right. Turn the right toes slightly out and we'll lower our left knee onto the mat. So now we're in a lizard lunge together here. Give yourself a moment to arrive. If you need to put a folded blanket or towel underneath the back knee, go for it. And then we'll just anchor down onto our left hand and begin by turning to the right. You might even just rest your right hand on your right thigh. We're all going to be a little bit different here. So this might be where you use your strap if you need it. We'll pick up our back foot and either reach our hand back to hold. Today we're going to hold the inside of the foot with the thumb facing straight down. Sometimes we can hold the outside of the foot with the thumb pointing up, but today we'll hold the inside of the foot, thumb facing down. Or you might be using your strap, and just give yourself time. Be patient with yourself. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to lasso the strap or the scarf around the foot, and then hold on to the strap. And then together from here, whether you're holding the foot or holding the strap, we'll turn our chest now forward towards the front of the mat. So we're coming out of the twist and turning the chest forward. And for many of us, this just adds a little bit more release for the front of your left thigh, your left quadriceps. Stay on the left hand or come down onto the left forearm. And let's just enjoy here 2 more breaths. Come out early if you need to. The knee that's on the floor, create the action of gently pulling it forward towards the top of the mat. And after your next exhalation, we can just let it go. Let go of the foot, release the strap from the foot, and make your way back to a downward facing dog. Take your time. Okay, let's go straight to second side. Left leg this time in that 3-legged dog. Turning the left hip over the right hip. Bend the knee. Pull the heel back towards the left buttock. And just sense into this long line that you've created through the left side body, the left side of the torso, across the front of the left hip and left thigh. And then we'll exhale, left foot forward between the hands and come up together again into our crescent lunge, high lunge. Because we're focusing on the legs and specifically the front of the hip and the thigh, let's keep our hands on our waist today. And then we'll bend our back knee. And same again. Imagining our cat pose. Scooping the tail downward underneath us towards the floor below us. Rolling the pelvis backward. Lengthening the top rim of the buttock down. And notice how that changes sensation for you in the front of your right hip and thigh. And because we're bending the back knee and creating this positioning, this posterior pelvic tilt, you're simultaneously engaging and strengthening the muscles in the front of the hip and the thigh, as well as lengthening them. So you're really getting your money's worth. Last breath. And then we can exhale and release, hands to mat again. And we come into our lizard lunge. Left hand inside the foot, left foot wide, left toes turned slightly out, and right knee lowering down to the mat. Let the hips drop forward and down here. Okay, so sometimes I see the hips a little bit back and up. But if you can, let the pelvis melt forward and down towards the mat. And as you're ready, same again. Right hand stays on the mat, turning towards the front leg. Find your strap if you'd like to use it. Pick up the back foot. And then we reach the strap or the hand back to the foot. And the hand's holding the inside of the foot with the thumb facing down. Not that it's bad to hold the outside of the foot. It's just today our focus is on quadriceps and hip flexors. So if we hold the inside of the foot, then we can turn the chest forward and really get a little more into the quadriceps here. Take your time. If you're using this strap, I know it can take a little bit of patience to lasso the foot. And if you're choosing to come onto the right forearm, you can. This is just an option. Now might be a nice time to deepen the breath, especially if the sensations in the thigh and the front of the hip are quite intense. Deepening the breath, steadying the breath. One more breath here. And then we can just let it go. Let go of the strap, let go of the foot. Release, come back up onto the hands, and we'll step back again. Downward facing dog. Oh. So let's do that twisted three-legged dog again, beautiful ones. We're going to stay pretty low to the ground today. So this time we're coming into a pigeon pose. Right leg rises, roll the right hip over the left hip, bend the knee, drop the heel back, and then exhale, right knee forward behind the right wrist into pigeon. And today we're focusing on the hip flexors. So let's just take a moment to do things a little differently, because sometimes we just want to drop in and melt in, don't we? But today, let's step our hands forward, kind of base our hands forward so our arms are like pillars or struts. And this will give us just a little bit more space now as we lean on the hands to see if we can find that feeling of cat pose with the pelvis again here too. A rolling back, a scooping under of the tail. And as you create this action, you know, nothing much might move actually. It's more the intention, the action of rolling the pelvis back, scooping or tucking the tail under. And maybe even that you notice a change in sensation in that left hip, that left thigh. And this might be perfect for you, especially if the lower back's quite tender. Or if you'd like to, keep that positioning of the pelvis. Press your back foot down, and you might walk the hands in a little and come a little more upright. So it's a gentle back bend. One more breath. And then let's gently release onto the hands, tuck the toes and step back. Downward dog. And we'll just do that straight to second side. Left leg, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, drop the heel. And then left knee forward into single pigeon here. And again, let's be a little more focused today. And sometimes it's nice to be focused in our asana practice because it keeps us paying attention, keeps us focused, which is really helpful. That one-pointed focus is harnessing the power of our mind, which I feel these days we have such short attention spans. So it's good training too for the mind. We'll step the hands forward. And again, create that lengthening, that scooping underneath you of your tail or your imaginary tail. And you might even notice a difference between sides. For me, I'm definitely much tighter on one side than the other. This is my tight side. And this might just be enough for you. You might have the sensation of release right here in the front of your right hip and thigh, maybe even a little bit on the inside. But if you'd like to, keep that action, keep that position of the pelvis as best you can. Press your back foot down and walk the hands in. We'll just puff the chest up, lift the chest a little. Just a little bit more length through the front of the body here. Enjoying another conscious breath, one more conscious breath here on this side. And then let's let go. Hands on the mat, curl the back toes under. Last downward dog. Bicycle through the legs, making any little movements you need to. And then we'll lower the knees to the mat. And let's finish together with just a celebration of the openness and the lengthening we've created through the front body by coming down onto our backs, and we'll come into a bridge pose together. So knees bent, feet hip width or a little wider, as wide as the mat if you like. And when you're ready, let's press the feet down and lift the hips into bridge. And this might be a really nice practice today to step the shoulders in underneath you and even interlace the hands if that's comfortable. And just feeling all that lovely length across the top of the thigh, the front of the hip, the front of the abdomen. Lots of beautiful length there in this pose. And all the complementary strength through the backside, the backs of the thighs and the hips in particular. Last breath in bridge. And then we can let go of the interlace if the hands are interlaced. And slowly come down. Just take a breath here as you pause at the bottom. And let's balance that front of hip and thigh opening now by just doing the opposite, closing up a little bit. We'll pick up the feet, hug the knees into the chest. Maybe you did that already. Little rock side to side. And we'll take a really lovely little brief twist here. Just open the arms out wide and let the knees fall over to one side. Simple, easy supine twist. A breath or two. And we'll release, journey through center, coming over to the second side. Beautiful. Let's come back to the middle. Maybe just a final little squeeze of the knees in towards the chest. And from here you might let the legs release out long for Shavasana. Or if you've just got the 25 minutes or so for practice today, then you might just roll to a side and gently press yourself up to sit comfortably. And we'll close together. Always nice to close. Tempting to just switch off the computer and move on to the next thing, but it's nice to finish something and just pause for a moment, because I know it's so hard to do in day-to-day life, for me anyway. So resting the hands on the lap or lifting the hands and folding the hands into Anjali Mudra. And taking a moment just to notice how you feel, how it felt to come home to the body, to connect with the practice, and to focus the attention in the mind, in the body, and the sensations in the body in your practice today. peace, peace, peace. Thank you so much, beautiful ones, for practicing together with me. Please feel free to subscribe or like or share with someone dear to you. And I look forward to practicing with you next time. Sending you all my